at this point in my career, dude, it's like therapy. You know what I mean? Because dude, it's been a while. Knowing so many people throughout so many years. All walks of life, and they come with different stories, different problems, different, you know, everything. You know what I mean? So you learn just as much as they learn from you. I learn a lot from them.
You're now tuning in to Unfiltered.
Yeah, bro, it's the same thing.
Yeah, let's go and do the same thing.
Trim the beard a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So what's up, dude?
What's up, man? So we've been talking about this for a while. We've been ever since I wanted to start the podcast. I remember I think I told you. I think you were the first person I told that about this podcast. To be honest,
That's right.
there's something about barbers and just talking about private conversations or ideas sometimes that just kind of happen in the barber chair. Do you feel like that's the same way with other clients that you guys have conversations based on family, business, and stuff like that, and it's kind of almost like a network for you in a way?
Oh yeah, dude, for sure. Like for me, it's at this point in my career, dude, it's like therapy. You know what I mean? Because dude, it's been a while. Knowing so many people throughout so many years. All walks of life, and they come with different stories, different problems, different everything. You know what I mean? So you learn just as much as they learn from you. I learn a lot from them. So it's pretty cool, dude. It's pretty cool to be able to, all these years, man, like grasp a little something from everyone. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Whether it's something that I'm going through myself or something that someone else is going through that I can like somehow, some way, help or be able to advise someone in any sort of way.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, it's therapy, dude. To be honest,
you're essentially, you become a therapist automatically just from seeing so many different people, and like you said, everybody has different stories. I feel like the barber chair is a safe place. I think a lot of people have have that, the movie The Barbershop and all that. Everybody kind of walks in, everybody's talking about sports or they're talking about the hottest topic of what's going on. Everybody just feel comfortable, right? So I feel like, that relationship with your barber is important. That's why it's very, everybody's different, but I would say majority of people that once they have a barber, they kind of stick with them, just kind of like a doctor. You don't really change doctors every week. So how important do you think it is to have that good relationship with your clients?
Dude, it's a beautiful thing, bro. It's a beautiful thing. I remember when I was in barber school, like 2004, 2005, whatever, I had a teacher. She told me that, you could either be a really good barber, like in the sense of like the artistry, right? Or you could be a really good like people's person, or you could be both. You know what I mean? So through that, dude, I've been able to like, at first, you go through like phases. You kind of like work on your skills at first. You harness, whatever it is that you're learning throughout the years, and get better at it or whatever. And then after a while, you start realizing, dude, that like you start building like friendships. You know what I mean? And like, especially, when it gets, a little bit like private, when people start telling you about their private life and all that stuff, dude, that's when you actually realize, holy crap, wait a second, bro, this is no longer just a service. This is no longer just a haircut. You know what I mean? Like it's more than that.
Yep.
So for me, dude, in this stage of my career, it's a beautiful thing, bro, because dude, me and you, we've known each other since 2004, 2005, I want to say.
Yeah.
When I was in barber school.
Oh yeah, so how'd you guys first meet? Because back in 2004, that's a long time now. So you've been cutting Chris' hair for damn near 2 decades, right?
Dude, when you put it that way, that's when I really feel my age.
That's, so I'm from New York, and I just recently moved here. It's been a couple of years now, and I was still young. And my dad actually told me, hey, man, you got to go to the school that's down the street from my house. They got $5 haircuts. And I'm like, $5 haircuts? Believe it or not, during that time, I was still traveling back and forth to New York. And whenever I went to New York, that was the first thing that I did when I landed. I went to go see my barber over there. His name's Alex. And hopefully he's doing well. I haven't seen him since then.
Shout out to Alex.
Shout out to Alex, man. But yeah, so I used to go there, again, once you have that barber, you just don't want to change. But obviously I moved to Florida. So I'm like, who is going to be my barber? So I was, on the hunt. And my dad was like, $5 haircuts. I'm like, $5 haircuts. I'm like, it sounds, even back in the day, it sounds too good to be true. It was at the Margate School of Beauty.
Rest in
And
peace.
yeah,
Rest
and
in peace.
we went there, and I was like, what is this place? You know, I just saw a bunch of people getting their nails done and stuff like that. I'm like, man, my dad just bamboozled me to like some rinky dinky guy to just do my haircut. But no, it was actually a school, and it was pretty cool. There was a lot of people there at the time, and that's when I met Juan, and he was like, yeah, let's go ahead and do your cut. And at the time, I think I wanted like a design or something. I think that was like the in thing, like do a design on the side of your fade
Mm-hmm.
and on the side of your head. And Juan was like, "Yeah, I can do it." And I little did I know it was a school for them to train. And then that's where our relationship kind of started. And then ever since that, I mean, wherever he went, I went pretty much.
Dude, you know what's crazy? So lucky for you, man. I had already been cutting at the house right before I started barber school.
Mm-hmm.
So I at least had an idea or a better idea than from some of the people that I knew that had started from scratch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now this just came to me now that you said that, dude. Technically, I actually met your dad first.
Yeah,
Before we met. You know what I mean?
That's true.
But to answer your question, yeah, man, we met. Yeah, dude. Good old 2004 Margate School of Beauty.
Yeah. Then from there, that's when I think you went to the first barbershop, right? And then was it Hall of Fame or something like that?
Yeah, yeah.
And then
so
that's when Now tell me a little bit about that. How, I mean, I don't know how it is nowadays. I mean, there's still barber schools and stuff like that. But you going back to how you started, learning, getting your certificate, and then now out there in the real world, how hard was it to start getting your clientele? Or did you feel like, you just kind of attracted people and they came to you? Or, because you technically had to do marketing some way or the other. We didn't have social media back then like that.
Damn, bro.
So how did you acquire your clientele?
Dude, so I'll take you back in time a little bit. So freshman year of high school, that's when I started like picking up the clippers just for fun. You know what I mean? Truthfully, at the beginning, I didn't even know how to do like design. I mean, haircuts. All I did was designs. As a little kid, bro, I used to draw a lot, man. So I was a little bit more like inclined toward like the artistry type of thing. You know what I mean? So it all started that way. And then a friend of mine at the time, he just started promoting me, like in high school. You know what I mean? He started promoting me to like all the other kids in school and this and that. I would cut my own hair to like practice. So I would go to the barbershop, get a haircut, and then a week later I'll kind of like go over it, you know what I mean, and try to learn from it, try to like just kind of like trace everything that he did or whatever. So around like sophomore year of high school, I remember I started barber school. I remember I had to wait till my 16th birthday in order for them to like legally allow me to get into school. So I was that young, dude. I was doing high school in the morning, barber school in the evening. And then I did that for about a year. Towards the end in barber school, I met this guy that he was also going to barber school. And he introduced me to Ty. Remember Ty? Ty Kim, the owner of the barbershop. So this was around 2005. So on my birthday, 2005, that's when I started working in the barbershop. So I was a busy kid, bro. High school in the morning, barber school at night, barbershop in the weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then as far as clientele, marketing, and stuff like that, like you said, dude, back then we didn't have any of the things that, that we have now and that like, new kids nowadays, they have in order to promote themselves.
Yeah.
So, yeah, dude, word of mouth has always been, even to this day, dude, has always been like, my way of marketing. You know what I mean? Back then, it helped me out a lot because, you remember, bro, back in high school, dude, like, if you think about it, high school days, bro, are your most social days.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, that's when you're socially active, like, to the fullest. So someone saw a haircut, yo, who cut your hair? Yo, who did that design? Blah, 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 blah. And then they'll kind of, like, refer me to them or whatever. And the good thing is that, dude, back then, I was still learning. So it's not like I was charging barbershop prices when I was cutting at home. I was still charging $5, $10, dude, just to be able to practice. They didn't know that. You know what I mean? But that's how I was able to get around. You got to start somewhere. Yeah, man. So yeah, it was pretty cool, bro. Those days were humble beginnings, bro. It was fun, And then when I started in the barbershop, dude, that definitely took me to another level, bro. Because the barbershop, bro, you have the walk-ins, you have, a easier way to expose yourself. You know what I mean? So yeah, dude.
Yeah, speaking about the prices though, like I guess since you've been in the game for so long, how often do you raise your prices for the clients? You know, because at a certain point, I mean, maybe it happened to Chris, but maybe you can speak upon like raising the prices over the years.
Yeah. Dude, so I remember when I started in the barbershop, haircuts were like, I mean, when I used to go to a barbershop as a kid, haircuts were like, what, like $10?
Yeah.
$8 or something like
Yeah.
that? You know what I mean?
I think 15 was considered high.
15 was
15,
high.
20 was like, if you were paying 20, you were paying like equivalent to almost $60 now.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, $60 now. Yeah, you were the man back then. If you gave if you gave a barber dude a $20 bill, you were the man. But I mean, for a while, you know, I worked at a barbershop for about what, 15 years. My boy Ty Kim, shout out to my boy Ty Kim, big brother. Yeah, and back then I remember the prices were just about the same everywhere, between 12, 10, 12, and $15 or something like that. And then, yeah, man, as time went on, you know, we started realizing that like things started getting more expensive. You know, not me, but I guess as a business owner, you know, you had to, you know, up your prices a little bit, of course, you know. And then, you know, some of us at that time, bro, we had already been cutting for 10 plus years. You know, we're talking now 2015. So I remember somewhere around 2015-ish, that's when I experienced myself, you know, like the first like up in prices, you know, back then. And then pandemic, I remember pandemic, dude, like pandemic definitely shot that up the roof because everybody, you know, things were getting more expensive and everybody kept shooting up their prices like crazy. But I understand from a point of view of like, you know, dude, you know, you gotta raise your prices, but like some dudes just, you know, went overboard with the prices, you know what I mean? I mean, going from $25, $30 to $70, $80 a haircut, dude, like, you know? So, I mean, to each his own, you know what I mean? But I had always, every time I go up in my prices, dude, it's just because of necessity, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also try to keep in mind, dude, like, all right, do I want these dudes to keep coming back to me, or you know, am I gonna, you know, give them the opportunity to go somewhere else because I went up too high in prices, you know? Like I had seen it too many times before where like guys will lose clients because of, you know, the hefty increase. You know what I mean? Dude, let me know if it's too sharp. Right?
Yeah. There's like jokes right now on like TikTok and stuff like that where it's there's like a meme or a video where the guy's like, hey, what's up, man? And he's sitting down and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, how much is the cut? And it's like, oh, it's $100. And the guy just disappears. Like the client disappears.
That's funny.
So there's a lot of barbers actually, even here locally, that I actually personally know that are charging $100 and plus a cut. Do you feel like it's justified, those prices, or you just feel like they're just kind of taking advantage of the fact that, you know, everybody's raising the price, like, all right, I'm gonna make my own price? Or do you think if it works for them, then let them, you know, do their thing? Or how do you feel about some barbers overcharging?
Overcharging?
Yeah.
Again, dude, you know, to each his own, you know. I feel that those are strategies. You know what I mean? So now we're talking about the dude that, all right, the client that comes in weekly or every 2 weeks and doesn't mind paying, you know, $35, $40 or whatever, because it's still somewhat affordable to today's standards, right? But then at the same time, bro, it's strategies like that, like charging crazy amount of prices or whatever it is. Of course, it's not just a haircut. It has to include more things. You know what I mean? I don't know if a person that will pay that price will be coming in weekly or every 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Really depends on the standard of the client. But no, I think it's all strategical. You know what I mean? It's more like, all right, do you want to work more and do 100 haircuts at $40, or do you want to do 10 haircuts at $100 and, you know, you work less?
True.
You know what I mean? So it really depends on like morally where you stand. You know what I mean? And also, you know, the area that you live. You know, we're talking about, I don't know, dude, Boca, Parkland, Miami. And I'm pretty sure, you know, people down there could afford $100 haircuts, like no problem. You know, but to regular, you know, folk, dude, it's like you got to keep that in mind. To, you know, you got to be considerate of, like, you know, whatever it is that they're able to afford, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's different markets, right? So it's no
yeah.
difference than somebody selling a purse on the street for $25 and then the Louis Vuitton purse for $2,500, right? It's still a purse, right? So it's like, who are they going after? So they can both be successful. It's like, but what you said, you can't cater to everybody. You gotta like, you know, stick to that market. And
Yeah.
I've seen barbers where it works. I mean, where they charge a good penny, but they got their clientele.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if it works, it works. If you know, like you said,
Yeah.
if they less cuts, more time, you know, time is money at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
No, that for sure, dude. I've seen yeah, certain examples, dude, where like especially on like on YouTube and things like that, dude, where you see guys, charge, the hefty price and whatnot,
Yep.
Pretty sure that they're including a whole lot more than just a haircut. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Um, but no, yeah, dude, I think it's also fair to consider, bro, that some of us have been in the game for so long, bro, that like just like any 9 to 5 corporate company, after a while of being working for that company, dude, you deserve a raise. You deserve to make more money.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? So I also look at it from that standpoint, and also, dude, from like especially us, bro, that been in the game 10, 15 years, 20 years, even more. Yeah, I feel like we deserve to work less, even if we're making the same amount of money, but at least you're compensating for that through raising your prices a bit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, dude, it's all strategic. Yeah.
Now, staying on that topic, what do you so there's some barbers, let's call them celebrity barbers,
Yeah.
where they, they cut like LeBron James and, these movie artists and stuff like that, and they travel with them.
Mhm.
And from what I've seen online, they sometimes charge $3,000, $5,000 for a cut.
Mhm.
How do you feel about that? Do you think it's just, again, different market, or is there something more they're offering? In other words, does a $5,000 price tag on a haircut any different than a cut that you're doing for $50 now? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I think there's a $3,000, to your example, uh, price tag on a lifestyle. You know what I mean? Because, dude, I'm traveling with you. I'm leaving my family behind. I'm with you. God knows how many times, how many days or weeks, out of the month or whatever, or however often you cut your hair. So I think at that point, the client, in this case, the celebrity, is just, yeah, they're paying for the lifestyle. You know what I mean? All the things that the barber has to sacrifice in order to be able to accommodate him. You know what I mean? And his or hers, service that they want. I think there's a certain phase in a barber's life to do that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, if you have to travel with these guys everywhere, bro, and if you have to leave your family behind, your kids, your wife, it's like, dude, that's not gonna work out for you. You know what I mean? In the long run, I mean, financially, it might be good, it might be great. I've heard examples, dude, where some guys, they have these contracts with the celebrities or athletes or whatever. They go cut their hair, fly in, cut their hair, fly out, come back home, and they're on pretty much on a salary per se, right? But yeah, dude. One has to also be aware of the things that come with that, the lifestyle that comes with that, Are we talking about a celebrity that's kind of like, that's it, settle down, chilling, stop partying and whatever, and it's not going to affect your lifestyle? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your personal lifestyle, just because you're around all these things. I mean, unless that's what you do,
No, it makes sense.
So yeah, dude, it's a touchy subject. I think for me personally, I think it has to do a lot with like the phase that you're going through in your life or your career also.
So now, as a barber, you have seen a lot of trends happening, right?
Yeah.
How do you keep up with the trends? Do you have to teach yourself how to cut these new hairstyles? Do you say, nah, that's not what I do? Like how do you handle the trends happening? Like at one point there was the Colombian haircut everybody wanted, right? When James first came to the national team, and everybody wanted that. I forgot the name of the cut. And so there's always that cut. I mean, now you even got the Edgar cut. There's different types of cuts out there.
Yeah.
How do you handle that as a barber? Since things change dramatically all the time. Do you just say, like, let me learn it and figure it out? Or you just say, nah, I don't do those, or how does that work with you?
Dude, so nowadays is much easier, you know what I mean? Because of like social media, YouTube and all these things or whatever. So it's easier to, type in, trending haircuts, and then you see it, someone out there is always, doing a demo or video on it or whatever. So as a barber, you kind of like pick it up right away. You just figure out, which angles or which ways you have to do the fade or the scissors or this or that, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now it's much easier, bro, to like teach yourself how to do these new trendy haircuts, right? Whereas before, if you remember, dude, you had to go to the barbershop and they had a poster on the wall.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Dude, remember that? So back then, dude, it's like you only had
It's like I want
19
that one.
or 20 options. That's it. Which
Yep.
one do you want? You know what I mean? So you better be, in luck that your barber knows how to do all these haircuts or whatever. But no, dude, I mean, it's cool. What you see nowadays, also what I see nowadays is like a lot of these dudes, man, these barbers, bro, doing what do you call that? Going back to like the whole school question that you had asked me about, doing their own kind of like online school thing or whatever, where
Yeah.
they create these videos and they're explaining, how to do this, how to do that, whatever, how to fade it. So it's pretty cool, man, that nowadays I see that the game is it's spreading, and by the game I mean the barber game. It's spreading faster and easier because of let me know this is sharp. Faster and easier because of everything that's out there now. That's like more it's easier to reach, to captivate the audience, and to also like those that want to learn. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah, dude, it's definitely a cool thing, dude, to see the game like progress from back in the day having to like stand next to the barber, watch him cut for hours just to be able to learn. So like now, dude, you just take your phone out and you're automatically, learning something new.
That's true.
What's cool for me also is it's like seeing how far tools have gotten, the technology. You know what I mean? Like the clippers and just everything, dude. Everything right now is just so mind blowing for like us old school barbers, bro, that been in the game for a while. Because, dude, we had to cut hair with the non-wireless clipper that weighed like 15 pounds, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they used to get hot. Remember those days when that thing used to get hot?
Yeah,
The cables.
Get all tangled and stuff.
Yeah. I remember back then, dude, I used to take so long cutting hair that I would have to like do one half of the haircut, put the clippers in the freezer, like in my mom's fridge, while I did the shape up. Then those will get hot, and then I will have to put them in the freezer, and just go back and forth.
Like a little rotation.
Yeah, a little rotation. Yeah, dude, because those things will get hot. Like burning hot. So nowadays you have different technology, different metals that, you know what I mean. It just kind of like combats that. It's really catered to for both, for the client and the barber, like for the comfort of both. You know what I mean? So that I find pretty cool. Dude, are we doing the shaver in the bottom?
Yeah, you go.
So that I also find pretty cool. Yeah.
So, speaking about like tools for the trade, what could you think like in the future that might make a barber's job easier? Like maybe a wish list item that you have.
It's a good question, dude. It's a good question because everything that I have now, you know what I mean, which is pretty much things that have been coming out for the past 5 years since I remember pandemic. I remember up until pandemic, that's when I started noticing that like different brands were coming out with different things, different technologies, different motors. So as of now, dude, I think that it's made my life or my career like not just easier, but more gratifying. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I enjoy it a lot more than back then. Everything, I don't know, for some reason, bro, for me, it just the blends come out easier. You know what I mean? Like the blends, they, I don't know, they're just a little bit, they stand out more,
You get a better cut.
In a way, yeah, like to barber standards, it's like, wow, you really see the difference. But don't get me wrong, dude, like, some barbers that I consider OGs, you know what I mean? Like back then when I was still 16, 17, 18, whatever, like, dude, they were already cutting at that standard, even with the old clippers from back then, So imagine how much nastier they are now, like those that are still cutting hair, since, yeah, dude, it's come a long way. Now the tools, what I would like, no, dude, truthfully, I'll be asking too much, bro. You know, something that's already given a lot. You know, especially this past like 5, 6, maybe even 7 years, bro. That like all this new technology came out.
Yeah.
Maybe every now and then, some of them the battery doesn't last as long or
Yeah.
whatever. You know, things like that. What it is sad to say though, it's like the old school brands that most of us started with, which is Walls and Andes.
Yeah.
They haven't really stepped up their game like these other companies have. You know what I mean?
I see.
So to answer your question, yeah,
Yeah.
I would like to see those old school brands that we started with
Mhm.
like step up their game to like today's standards. That would be beautiful.
So what do you use right now?
So now, dude, I use for the most part it's a company called Stylecraft,
Mhm.
JRL. What else? Babyless. You know.
Mhm.
So those are kind of like today's somewhat standards. I know there's some other stuff out there. And what's funny is that the past like 3 years, I've been stepping out of my comfort zone,
Yeah.
you know, where before I would only just stick to like the two that I knew, you know. And then, about 3 years ago, I started watching a lot of like YouTube videos on like new clippers, things that came out, this, and that. And I started from other barbers' perspectives, of course, you know, and I started kind of like seeing, what they were talking about and understanding what they were talking about. So that's when I'm like, okay, you know what?
Yeah,
Give it a shot. Yeah. And it has not disappointed, dude.
Nice.
It has not disappointed.
Nice. So, I mean, speaking about the cut, like, it's pretty much an art form, right? So when you finish cutting someone's hair, in a way, you pretty much have like a walking billboard, so to speak, because like your work's like set out on display and everything. So do you feel like it is an art form in that way, or do you feel like it's just kind of like everything that you do is like kind of just business as usual, or like?
So it's funny, dude. You know, at first when I first started, we're here. I was like super passionate about it. You know, like as I mentioned earlier, dude. You know, when I was little, man, I used to draw a lot. So I pretty much took to cutting hair the same passion that I had when I was a little kid drawing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoyed the heck out of it, especially at the beginning when you're like learning all this new stuff and new techniques, and the blend finally came out nice. The fade finally came out nice. You know, the scissor cut, you're finally like on point with it or whatever. But then after a long time, just like anything, you know, just any career, after a long time, dude, it was like it just became so repetitive. So you know, that it was just kind of like, all right, dude, what else? Like, you know, it's not like
it's like how can you elevate your game in like that sort of way, or
yeah. You know, so I had to find an edge. You know what I mean? Because to me, it just at one point it just became money and, you know, being able to provide and this and that. So I'm like, dude, if I have to do this every day for 10, 12 hours a day, like I gotta find an edge. I gotta find something that allows me to enjoy it again and kind of like get that passion back. You know what I mean? So that's when I would say, dude, that like all these new clippers and this new technology kind of like did that for me.
right?
You know what I mean? Because I started experiencing like, you know, different clippers, different, you know, brands and all this stuff. So it became like that first time again, you know, like, you know, all right, let's see what this does. Let's see how this comes out, you know? So it became exciting again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was your question. I kind of
Oh,
somewhere else.
That's good. That's good because,
You know?
since you've been cutting hair for so long, it's like, what else is next, you know?
Yeah, dude.
So you kind of had like that writer's block in a way.
Yeah. I had to find an edge, dude. So to be honest with you, dude, like watching a lot of these kids nowadays, like their videos and how they cut and all that stuff, like that stuff motivates me. You know what I mean? Maybe from an inner competitive, you know, side, you know, me just, you know, just kind of like the inner competitive type of thing, you know, to do it, you know, just like them or figure out a way to, you know, but at the same time, very, how do you say it, bro? Very, in a way happy, dude, that, you know, this next generation of barbers, like they have that same passion, bro. You know what I mean? That they have that same, level of artistry because of all this new stuff that's coming out now that in a way makes it easier for them, you know?
Has the barber industry kind of changed as far as like a business model, or has it always been sort of like a booth rent versus commission model?
Dude, so, you know, this whole suite thing that you see now, to me, truthfully, maybe it's something that has always existed. The first time I ever heard about it was like back in 2015, 16, I remember, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's more like, you know, it's more of a private setting, dude. It's more of a, you know, it's kind of like you and your client type of thing or whatever, one person at a time or whatever it is, you know? Search it out. But this is something to me, it was new, you know? Like back in the day, you know, all we had as an example of barbershop was, you know, how we just grew up, you know, you go to barbershop, bunch of guys in there, bunch of people in there, whatever, which is cool. You know, it's also, I think it's necessary, bro, for every barber to like, when they start to experience that, you know what I mean? Just the camaraderie that you build with the guys, man, and like along the way, dude, it's like, you know, it's like soldiers, man.
It's like a rite of passage sort of thing.
Yeah, that too. You know what I mean? You know, aside from the fact that that's how you're going to generate most of your clientele, you know what I mean? At the beginning, that's like the fastest way for you to generate clientele. Working in the barbershop, just because you're there, you're exposed, you know, people come in, even those walk-ins, bro, that have never gotten a haircut with you, they're still watching. They're still analyzing how you cut, how your haircuts come out, so that maybe one day they get a haircut with you and eventually become your client. You know what I mean? But I would say though that like this whole suite, you know, rental idea thing, it's been really good. You know, jumping a little bit on the business side of things, because it exposes the barber dude to like, you know, how you can start very small, right? And then from there, you know, if opening up a barbershop is your thing, then you can from there grow from it. You know what I mean? You get to experience the whole thing about, you know, establishing yourself, you know, as an LLC or whatever it is, you know. So you start learning a little bit more about the business side of things at a smaller scale. And then from there, you know, it's up to you if you want to, you know, take the big jump into like the whole barbershop or whatever. Some people do it backwards. Some people, I've known people that have owned barbershops for years. And then towards that almost like the end of their careers, bro, they're kind of like, dude, they that's it. They don't want to take on that responsibility anymore. And they just kind of like downsize to a suite, and it's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the most important thing that I would say, dude, that I have learned from like this whole suite concept is how much I've gotten to know my clients / friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like on a private level, dude. Like, you know, that door closes, dude, and it's like, you know what I mean? And going back to how we first started, you know, at the beginning, yeah, dude, that's when you start noticing that people really, how do you say, confide in you?
Yeah.
Like confide in you, like their personal stuff, whether they're coming in for, whether they're coming in to just vent or they're coming in for an advice, and you put your 2 cents in there if they allow you or whatever. You know what I mean? That's also something that I now in my career I cherish a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because, you know, just caring about people, dude, and it's not only just a service. You know, I think at this point it's way more than that. You know.
Now, a barber that's starting out now, and let's say they work at a barbershop, is there one that you recommend versus booth rent or commission? Like, is there one that's, you know, somebody just starting out, they don't have clientele yet, so what would you think would be the better route for somebody starting out at a barbershop?
Dude, so from my personal experience, when I started in the barbershop, I remember Ty, bro, he used to have us on commission, right? And truthfully, that's you know, that coming into the barbershop for the first time, bro, that's all I knew there was. You know, I didn't know there was something, you know, like rent, you know, when you pay the chair or whatever back then. You know, I'm 17 years old, dude, you know. But what I would say is that it's I think it's necessary for a barber that's just starting out to go through the whole commission thing, because first of all, you know, at first you're not gonna have enough clientele for you to pay a certain amount for a chair weekly. You know what I mean? And second off, dude, I think it allows you to, like, once you see those numbers, like once you start analyzing, dude, the commission that you're getting weekly as your clientele starts rising, it kind of like pushes you, like that inner competitive, drive or whatever. It kind of like pushes you to like, yo, next week I'm gonna do this, and next week I'm gonna do this and this and this, until I think you get to a point where like the owner realizes that like, dude, you know what, man, like you've been doing this number for X amount of time consistently. It's up to you if you want to do the chair, and just know that you got to pay the chair no matter what.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it also teaches, like the whole commission thing, it also teaches the barber discipline. Because, dude, barbershop environment, or some barbershops, it's not like corporate, that you got to be there from a certain time to a certain time, and you can't leave. Some barbershops, dudes, they just kind of like come in and out as they please, just because they're paying the rent. Just come, pay the rent, work 2-3 days. You know what I mean? So I think it's necessary, bro, for a barber at the beginning to experience that. You know what I mean?
Nice.
In the long run, though, yeah, definitely paying chair. It's more how do you say it? Yeah, it's better financially, because you're only worrying about a certain amount that you got to pay, and then the rest of the week is yours.
Man, I don't know why this came to my mind, but this is we're still young. You were at the Hall of Fame in Coral Springs.
Yeah.
At that movie theater.
Yeah.
Thing, you guys just opened up the shop and everything, and there was one time that you were out of town, and I needed a haircut bad. And I've never gotten a haircut with anybody else. And I'm just like, I was like, all right, worst case scenario, I was like, I'll go with Ty. I was like, obviously he's the owner. I know I can trust the guy, but he's always so busy. So Hector, I walked in and Hector's like, oh, I'll do it. Hector knows how to cut, but unfortunately we had a bad experience. It's not his fault, but it kind of made such a big, like, it was a sign for me not to get my hair cut again by somebody else. We're cutting hair, and midway, the power goes out.
Oh, man.
Just like that. The power goes out. Literally midway, the power goes out. And we're like, what's going on? And at the time, he didn't have wireless clippers.
Oh, yeah, dude.
It was all literally like wired. So we went outside, like, what's going on? The fire truck was there. Something, apparently a transformer blew up nearby. And they were telling us that it was going to take hours for this to fix. And I'm over here like, what? I'm over here like half a haircut, bro. Like literally, like it wasn't even completely done. Like even if I was like, all right, call it a day, he ended up using, I guess the only wireless clipper that he had was the one for the mustache, the smaller one. He ended up using that to kind of like, just spruce me up real quick. But it was the funniest thing, man. I was just like, what the hell?
What a first experience. Cheating on your barber,
exactly.
Chris.
I was like, that's it. No more.
What
I
a
promise.
first experience, dude. No, I remember you told me about that. No, you know what's crazy? To Hector's defense, I think that was when he first started cutting hair.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that was like 2008.
No, but I mean, it's not his fault. The power went out, man. I was like,
funny
damn.
story though. But when there was hair on this head, the same exact thing happened to me with Hector.
Oh man, what's going on, Hector? What you got paying the power bill?
Dude, and I remember the guy shut off the lights by mistake. Like the FPL guy or whatever.
Yeah.
So luckily for us, I remember that day we just left. We went to my house. He finished cutting me up, and then the lights came on later at like 7 p.m. something like that. So it's like, but yeah, dude, it happens. It happens. Do you see? That's what sucks about like back in the day. If something like that happened, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, all right, Chris, let's go to your house.
Yeah.
Finish
You
you
can
up.
go outside if you need to, like whatever.
You know what I mean? Whatever. Yeah. Dude, everything good?
Yeah. No, we're good. Yeah, we're good.
Oh, yeah, speaking of which, I mean, like, how do you feel about, clients cheating on the barber? Like,
So it's like, what's funny about that, dude? That it's like, it's a jokey thing or whatever, But after a while, dude, I came to realize that, like, you don't own nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think the time that we have that client's loyalty, it's a time that you have to appreciate, and respect. But at the same time, bro, people's lives change. People move. People, for X and Y reason, dude. They might not like something that how you've been cutting their hair or whatever, and they have the right to. That's why I don't understand why some dudes really get upset about, like, when they switch barbers and this and that. It's like, no, dude, everybody. Dude, everybody. You don't buy food from the same exact place every day. You know what I mean? You buy from different places or whatever. So, no, I take it more of a joke. You know what I mean? I take it more of a joke. But it's also, if I'm out of town and just like what happened with Chris and he got to do something or whatever, it's like, dude, you got to do what you got to
It
do.
is
You
what
know,
it is,
lucky,
man.
lucky for you.
Yeah.
I know a lot of good barbers. You know what I mean? Just in case your boy goes out of town or he retires.
I remember when I was I went to school in Tallahassee, and so obviously, you know, it was a temporary move, but it was going to be, you know, for some time.
I remember.
So, you know, it's still an 8-hour drive. I wasn't flying back and forth. I'm a student. So whenever I did come down for spring break and summer, I made sure like I got my haircut right away. And then right the last day before I go up to Tallahassee, I will get a haircut, which will last me for a good 2-3 weeks, as long as I shaped it up myself.
Yep.
I remember Juan was even telling me how to cut my hair because at that time, I literally went through, this was such a bad experience. I never thought that, you know, to me, it's like you get your license in any profession. Mm-hmm. You're considered a professional, right? Mm-hmm. So if I would assume that when I went to a barbershop over there, and they had plenty of different barbershops, that somebody's going to be good. I understand that not everybody's the best, but they will at least know how to do a simple shape up or something. Mm-hmm. Bro, I went through like 4 barbershops and 4 different barbers, and they messed up my head. Like it was just bad. Like I used to get the blowout, the high fade and everything over here, and they will either cut it way to the back, and I'm just like, what is this? And it was just bad. Like, I mean, it was like barber after barber to the point where I called him up like, yo, what can I do? I remember he was giving me a tip where like, you know, I had the mirror in the bathroom, the medicine cabinet mirror, and then you open it up, use it as a back mirror.
As a back mirror.
And kind of like, you know, and that's what I would do to kind of go by for a couple of weeks or months until I came back down.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where it was that bad, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
dude,
bad.
I remember that.
It was bad.
Yeah, I remember him coming home.
Yeah.
Super hairy, or just kind of with like somewhat of a jacked up haircut from like a week prior or something like that. And yeah, right. Remember those days?
I couldn't believe it, man. I was just like, how are these people even cutting hair, man? Like, why even do that? Like, really, you're not that good. And yeah, at the time, I mean, I think things have gotten better over there, but this was like at the time there was nobody doing any. The people that were there were just learning from the cut. I think they were mainly from Georgia.
Yeah,
that's what I like, because at the time Tallahassee was a completely different beast. People from Atlanta and Georgia were coming down to school there, living there. Now, I mean, Tallahassee is like half of Miami, Fort Lauderdale. You have a lot of people from here.
I mean, they were probably capitalizing on the opportunity, bro. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
no barbers out there, dude. I'll figure out how to cut hair, even if they don't know. They're gonna have the clientele.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that was that's
cool.
Wild. Let's talk this. What else you got on your?
No, I mean, speaking about the clientele,
should I take it out, dude, or
no? Yeah, you can take it out.
Yeah,
you can leave it. This one.
Yeah. Dale.
No, we could talk about if you had any clients that you had to fire, or you know, had any issues.
Yeah.
A lot of them, or
no, I'll just tell you like 1 or 2 examples. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what happened?
So yeah, what happened with the?
Oh, that's it.
What happened with the client that caused you some trouble?
Not necessarily trouble, bro. It's more of an inconvenience. You know what I mean? I mean, you're understanding, dude, that like people have their own thing going on in their lives and everybody has problems and whatever, you know, but like when it starts affecting your like hustle and your money, dude, and how you provide for your family, you know, after a while, you know, I give chances. And I mean, inconvenience in the sense of like making appointments, not showing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's wasting
dude,
time.
You know what I mean? And then back to back, like whatever, or like, you know, dude, you know, you mind if I get you next week? Yeah, cool. Next week comes, hey, bro, reminder of the haircut, gone, you know, and not just one time, just multiple times. So I think it's happened to all of us, through our career, bro. It happens, you know, with anything in life, you know what I mean? So yeah, some dudes that I had to, not necessarily fired, but you know, dude, I'm kind of like booked right now. I can't get you, type of thing, just to be more respectful in a way.
We both, without saying names, we both know somebody.
Oh, you know exactly who came to mind. You know exactly
somebody,
who came to mind.
Man, come on, just wasting time, booking an appointment, never showing up,
or
giving an excuse and all that. You know, at the end of the day, it's just, you know, you get that slot, just like a doctor's appointment. You book that appointment, you got to go.
Yeah,
you know,
or the ones that come like super late, like extremely late, dude. Like even your tricks that you make up in your mind for that person to be on time, they're still late. You know what I mean? So yeah, that after a while becomes an inconvenience because guess what? The next dude is now mad that you're taking him late.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why it's like kind of like, all right, dude, you know what? This is where we
Cut ties, man.
Where we cut ties, dude. Or we
Exactly.
split. Yeah.
How young are you willing to cut somebody's hair? Like, you know, if somebody's son comes here and they want to get their hair cut, like how, you know, they got to be a certain age for you to cut their hair, or you feel comfortable at all ages?
Dude, I mean, I'm at a point now, dude, that like, I mean, we all know, bro. We all know how it is to cut kids' hair, man. You know, it could be a nightmare, or you could get lucky and the kid is actually really good. So I'm at a point now, dude, where like I only cut like my clients' kids.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so no, I mean, it don't matter, dude. It don't matter. I mean, there's strategies around it, you know. It just sucks because sometimes they take them to, for example, another barber where they had a traumatizing experience with the kid. You know, they grabbed them too rough, or the clippers were too hot, or, you know, cut him, whatever, you know. So then now you got to come and deal with that trauma, you know what I mean, and then approach her a different way, you know. So no, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's doable. It's doable. But you also, I think the parent also has to be like aware, dude, of like what kind of haircut. Like, dude, I'm not gonna give a little kid a skin fade with a bunch of designs and all this stuff. Like, he's not gonna stay still. You know what I mean? It has to be something simple, in and out, scissors, little here, you know, whatever. That's it. You know. I think.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. No, yeah, because I mean, there's some barbers that's all they do. I mean, just like doctors, right? There's pediatricians and stuff like that. There's just for children. So there's some barbers that they just are just children barbers, right? So it's different specialties. So, but it's interesting that you're willing on to take, you know, like the clients' kids, because you're kind of, you know, that's not what you do every day. But now you have to have little tactics because you have to kind of entertain them or put something on the TV so that they don't, you know, get bored and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because kids, nobody can control them. They can be good one day and the next time it's like going crazy. So
yeah, bro.
So yeah.
And another reason why is, dude, is because I'm on a schedule. You know what I mean?
Thing too.
Yeah. So like, dude, I gave you an appointment, and I know you're not gonna sit here and cry and yell and scream and kick me in the, you know what, you know what I mean? So that's also kind of like, dude, it's something to consider because, yeah, dude, it's gonna affect my schedule. You know what I mean? So yeah, dude, for sure.
I know. Show wanted to know: is there a hairstyle that was popular at one point that you're just like, man, that thing's gotta die, bro. That thing, it's not it, man. Is there something you just like, you know?
Why is it trending, man?
Like, back in the day, dude. Let's see. No, I mean, back in the day, I mean, for the most part, since I started, haircuts were pretty basic, right? Like your fades with your spiky on top or whatever. Remember the Caesar or the brush cuts back in the day?
I think the fades were like, the fades to me is like wearing Air Forces. It's just a thing that like.
Oh yeah.
It's just it's a stamp.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah. Then from there, like you said, like the spiky hair on the top, then the blowouts, then it came out, you know, with all the crazy stuff. But that's what I used to get, just a fade. Yeah. That's it. I never had long hair. You know, to me, I remember the first time I think he told me, he was like, hey, let's leave some hair on the top. And I'm just like, you know, I feel like that's an older hairstyle.
Yeah, dude, it took me a while to talk you into that, bro.
And then the comb over came out of nowhere.
The comb over came out of nowhere.
And I was just like, what the hell?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how I feel too much about the mullet, even though now the way the mullet, they've been doing it, it's like they customize it where it's like that typical 80s look, but with that nowadays flow, you know? The fade, the shape of this and that. Yeah. So I would say one haircut that I'm kind of like, about is the mullet, but then again, they're doing it better, more acceptable, I guess.
What was the one that you talked about? The broccoli?
Yeah, the broccoli cut. Have you seen the broccoli cut where it's, here, let me try and pull it up.
What were they? Not the blowout, right? Like no, back in the day, how we used to have the blowout like
similar,
this?
But
yeah,
this was popular at one point.
Something like this, man.
I mean, I see that now.
Like,
yeah,
we got the perm on top, and then it's pretty much just like a hard transition between the top and the side. You know what's crazy, dude? Nowadays, like a bunch of parents, like they just complain about that haircut because a bunch of kids have that haircut now. You know, kind of like with the hairs like on their forehead, almost covering their eyes or whatever. And then there was sucks, like from a barber standpoint, it's like sometimes these kids come in. Excuse me. You do the haircut, you do a nice fade on the side, but then the broccoli falls over and it covers it. Yeah. It hides it. So it's like, dude, what was the point? You know what I mean? And then the parents looking at me like I did that. No, dude, that's what he wanted. You know what I mean? Like, so I would say that one. Yeah, that one. I hope it turns out fast. Yeah. You know what I mean? But then again, our parents probably said something about us back in the day.
with our haircuts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With the blowout. I remember we used to have long hair, braids, all that stuff. So I'm pretty sure, especially Spanish parents, dude.
I do think. I mean, and obviously, like, you know, as I'm getting older, we're getting older.
Yeah.
You know, we understand what our parents were probably saying, like, man, what are you doing that for, right? Because at the time they had their style.
Oh, heck yeah, dude.
Now I do think that currently the younger generation right now, they're doing a hell of a job of really thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
Whether it's hairstyle, fashion, or something, they're just out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool. Everybody express yourself the way you want to, but like some of these haircuts is just like covering your eyes. Like what's the functionality behind it? Like I get it, but it's just like what?
Yeah.
So it's just like, but they do it, and then it's almost monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
Whether they learned it from a celebrity or it got popular on TikTok, everybody wants it. Like the one I don't understand, the Edgar cut. That's another one. The Edgar cut with it's the Mexican style.
Bro, to this day,
it's like a mushroom haircut.
That one right there, yeah. To this day, I don't even know who Edgar is.
I don't.
Yeah, dude. Or why it's called Edgar. Like to this day, I still don't know.
I think it was a meme or something, and the guy's name was that. I'm not too sure.
Oh, yeah?
I'm not too sure,
So
but it was.
If you analyze it, dude, it's the same blowout that we used to do.
That's
but
pretty
instead
much.
of spiking it up how we used to, they just put it all flat down.
That's true.
You see that? So it's just a whole bunch of mess or whatever.
Because the one, I mean, don't get me wrong, and I understand, because like the one haircut that I never ever achieved, because I never grew my hair that long, was the mushroom cut. I don't know if you guys remember the movie, not the Ninja Turtle, the Three Ninjas. It was the kids. It was an actual real movie.
Okay. It was like a Disney movie?
I don't know if it was Disney, but it was the three kids, and they were ninjas. They were like fighting karate or whatever. And it wasn't Ninja Turtles. It was, and they all had mushroom haircuts.
Oh, snap.
And it really looked good on them. And I was just like, man, I want that haircut. I'm like 10 years old. I've always wanted that haircut, but I'm just like, I don't even think. Even now, I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna pull that off.
Dude. No, heck no, bro. But the funny thing about that is, bro, is that a lot of these haircuts are coming back.
Yeah.
And not just haircuts, bro. Like you said, like the way these kids now dress up, water. Like, dude, when did you ever think that baggy clothes were gonna come back again?
That's true.
Dude, I see these kids when I drop off my daughter at school. I see these kids with like baggy clothes, but it's not like for us. It was more like towards the urban hip hop, reggaeton type of era. For these kids, it's like just everything. It's just it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
That's true.
But it's back again.
That's true. No, that's true.
No, yeah. So appreciate your time here, man. So we got Chris's cut done and everything, and
thank you guys, bro. This was a different but cool experience. But at the same time, it's a little bit more of what I do on a daily basis, bro, which is talk my ass off.
So it's just natural, man.
No, that's good. I mean, I think you were a perfect candidate because, Unfiltered, Fort Lauderdale, the whole purpose of this is I'm Colombian from New York in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
And I mean, we always talk about New York. You're Colombian as well. You're in Fort Lauderdale. So, I feel like, this is another showcase, of what Fort Lauderdale has to offer. Just kind of talking about just real life things in the sense of like, how marketing works without having to mention, the word marketing, how networking is important with your clientele, how it's important to keep good relationships. So at the end of the day, just straight to the point, real information. Hopefully we help somebody out there, whether you're starting out or, a lot of this stuff, people are like, oh, I already know, whatever, that's fine. But you never know.
Yeah,
you never know.
And it's entertaining. Like what you guys are doing is entertaining in the sense of like, you're helping businesses get exposed. But at the same time, like, dude, I love watching podcasts. You know what I mean? Like, again, you're learning something from someone at all times. You know what I mean? So it's cool that you guys get to do that for people. You know what I mean?
Perfect, man. Well, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Till the next time, we'll make that appointment.
I got you, my boy. Show. That was nice, dude. That was very organic.
Yeah.
There you go. Perfect.
Awesome, man.